Live from 1990 News, this is the Seaman Garson Sports Extra.
The young man was sick, and he didn't play, okay? And that's the end of it.
And that was about the 15th time Pat Shurmur answered that question today. Peyton Hillis still at the center of the storm. Hey, everybody, Tony Zarella, thanks for tuning in. The head coach talked with us for about 25 minutes today. At least 21 of those minutes concerned Peyton Hillis. Not about his health, although I'm still going to get to that in just a bit. About his role in this offense. It's a legit question when your #1 running back, the guy who just a year ago was the face of this franchise, carries the ball only 10 times. Now, I understand things got out of hand in the second half, but even when this game was close, Hillis was invisible. So inquiring minds wanted to know today, is his role being diminished?
Absolutely not. I don't think that's I think that's a non-issue. I think Peyton needs to play most of the time. I think Peyton Hillis fits extremely well. So he played yesterday. He got the football. I'll tell you what, you know, I think it's important he touches the ball, and he did.
Well, he did sparingly. Bottom line, he's just not going to get the same amount of carries in this offense every week. But more than that, that report that claimed some of his teammates were questioning his toughness after sitting out the Dolphins game. Now, that was a dead issue until ESPN brought it back up, and Peyton's teammates would like to slam it back down.
I think Peyton's a big enough competitor where he wants to come out and play every weekend and every Sunday and wants to do well. I don't second-guess his talent at all, and I think Peyton is one of the better backs in this league.
All right, Greg Little, Peyton's health may not be an issue. Joe Haden's is our best defensive back on the shelf. For how long, nobody knows. With a sprained knee, he was seen wearing a brace today in Berea. And even Shurmur admits Haden will miss some time, maybe not game time. We caught up with TJ Ward tonight for his take.
I talked to him this morning. He got an MRI. It wasn't anything serious, so luckily it was just something that he'll hopefully get better from in the next week or two.
Whenever my number's called to come in and play, that's been my role. Last year I started 10 games. I'm very familiar with, you know, being a starter, so that'll be a smooth transition. So, you know, however they want to use me, whenever I'm needed, I'll be ready.
And the hits just keep on coming. Alex Mack, their Pro Bowl center, played the entire game yesterday with appendicitis. Talk about tough. He underwent emergency surgery today, and at least one of his teammates saw this coming.
I was over there last night watching Sunday Night Football with him, and he was talking about some issues then too, and I was like, oh, maybe it's maybe it's just something you ate, man. But wow, I don't expect him missing any time. So he's played with some injuries before, and I think he'll be all right. I'm not a doctor, but I know Alex.
I got to give Mack an A+ just for being able to show up to the stadium yesterday, much less snap the ball 87 times. But his teammates, it ain't pretty. Here's the report card. We're going to grade the coach first because, Pat, you have us confused. And by us, I'm including some of your players. Peyton Hillis, 10 carries. Evan Moore, 1 catch. Armon Smith on 4th and 1. You know who the playmakers are. Please leave them on the field. The only one you're outsmarting is yourself. The coach takes home a D. One of those playmakers, Benjamin Watson. Okay, he got his reps, 6 catches and another touchdown, but that's the only time they found the end zone. 416 yards of offense and only 1 TD. We're giving the O a D. Turned out to be a record-setting day for Colt McCoy, but it's not the 61 passes people will remember. It's the one that was taken back 97 to the house. Of course, McCoy also didn't have a lot of help. Too many drops, too many sacks. We're giving the QB a C-. Sheldon Brown's been under fire from fans, and yes, he gave up the touchdown late in the second quarter, but he was far from alone in this losing cause. Blown coverages, missed tackles. Who were these guys? Not the defense we witnessed in the first 3 games. They expect more, and so do we. I'm breaking out another D. Well, let's end on a high note because Phil Dawson is money. 40 miles per hour. Ha! He spit into the wind at both ends with a 48-yarder and a 51-yarder. You can't spell automatic without the A. All right, time for your takes. This guy's getting us back to Hillis. Chins89GT tweets completely pissed about what they're doing to Hillis. He deserves better than that. But again, he had 27 carries 2 weeks ago. It's going to go back and forth, I think, in this offense. Goalie 522 tweets, McCoy throwing 61 times will not win games. Listen, Pat Shurmur will admit that. He's a former offensive lineman. You got their takes. Now I want yours. You can send them to me on Facebook or tweet them to TonyZ19. More problems for the Buckeyes. Just when you thought they'd be getting a boost, some much-needed help on offense, bam, they're handing down suspensions again. DeVere Posey and Boom Herron both thinking they're going to be reinstated this week after serving their 5-game suspensions for the tattoos. Instead, benched again for the Nebraska game. This time, employment issues, getting paid for summer jobs that they didn't actually work. Marcus Hall also suspended. It's time to show Posey and Herron the door. In the meantime, Gene Smith scrambling once again.
The NCAA has done a very thorough job of evaluating our systems, and our procedures, and our policies, and our structure on education, things of that nature. These failures are individual failures, failures of individual athletes, as you know, unfortunately, a previous coach, and a booster. So it's not a systemic failure of compliance.
What made Andy Roddick storm off during this press conference? Tell you what, I'll turn back up the volume and show you when we come back. Tom Eckert might have to change his identity soon, too, if he doesn't find some playmakers in the draft. Just one of the issues we tackled today when I went one-on-one with the Browns GM. Well, Tom, I'd like to start with asking you exactly who you're going to draft. Let's get right to the number 4 overall pick. We'll get on the list.
Yeah, well, you know, it's still obviously really early, and you know, the juniors just to finally, we got the list today of the 65 juniors that are in this draft, so we have a long way to go. But you know, we're getting closer to figuring out, you know, who's going to be there. Tom,
you know what everybody in your fan base wants with that number 4 overall pick. They want offense. I think it's going to be like the scene in Frankenstein with the villagers and the torches. Yep. If you go defense, and I'm sure there's a possibility that could happen if Claiborne's on the list, but you got to get an offensive playmaker. Yeah, you know, and we haven't really denied that, and we know we need help on offense. And in a perfect world, there will be a good player there at 4, and an offensive player, and hopefully that happens. But you know, if there's not, or there's somebody that we don't think is worth that pick, you know, there's a possibility of us moving down. But still, you know, we are going to focus on offense. Tom, when you talk about Colt McCoy, Mike Holmgren has done the same thing. When you follow up assessing Colt by throwing Seneca Wallace's name into the mix, you know we read into that. We say, well, obviously, if you mention 2 quarterbacks, you're telling us you don't have one, that franchise guy. Right. Well, no, I kind of disagree with that. You know, I think Colt has shown enough that he's won some games. He's played well at times. You know, and does he need to improve? There's no question about it. But we think with a full off season, with some help on the offensive side of the ball, if I can get him some help player-wise, we do think he can be a quarterback in this league. And so we still think Colt is a good football player. So as we sit here today, are you telling me he's your guy for 2012? Right now he is, yes. You know, obviously, you know, there's so many things that could happen, you know, with free agency, the draft, so you never say never. But right now he's our quarterback, and you know, we like Seneca as well. So, but right now Colt is the quarterback. But I don't want to keep harping on this, but and I respect Seneca Wallace, but when you throw him into the conversation again, you just don't hear that on teams that have that franchise guy. Right, and I think there's probably twofold. I think you're right. You're exactly right. If you have the franchise guy, you don't say that. But we think we have 2 pretty good quarterbacks where you look at throughout the league, and most teams don't. I mean, you see what happened with Indianapolis. You know, New Orleans Saints, they have nobody behind Drew Brees, so if he gets hurt. But so we do think we have 2 guys that can win football games for us. Tom, when you and when Mike have been asked about certain guys coming back, you've been pretty direct on some, like DeQuell Jackson. Yep. When you're asked about Peyton Hillis, you've had chances to say we absolutely want this guy back, and neither you or Mike has done it. Well, I think just because of the situation where everybody knows we tried to sign him back, you know, during the season. It didn't work out, so now he's a free agent. So it's so hard to see what's going to happen. You know, we really don't control that situation, and you know, if he comes back, great, and if he doesn't, you know, we just have to find somebody else. But you know, we're not ruling anything out right now. But you could say, I don't know what Peyton's going to do, but absolutely we want him back. Yeah, if we have we like good football players, and we think Peyton can do it, and he's proved it. Now, does he have to stay healthy? Does he have to do some other things? Yeah, and but if Peyton was here, we'd be happy with that. Tom, you know the pulse of this community, and I mean, this is a fan base that's way past being patient. It's unfair to you and to Mike Holmgren and now Pat Shurmur, because you inherited this. Yeah. But it might change the window that you're accustomed to. In other words, you may not have enough time. You got to get it done now. Right. Well, I think, yeah, and we completely understand what that is. I mean, hey, it's been a long time since they've won here, and we fully understand that now. Hopefully, the fans can see we're doing it the right way. We are going to build through the draft. Are we going to do some things in free agency? We hope so, yes. But we are going to continue to build it through the draft, so it's going to take a little bit. But we fully expect to be a much better football team next year and win more games.